Welcome everyone to our session today. I love this topic and I feel that OneNote is an underutilized application. Either you know about it, you've maybe thought about using it, and some people come back to me and say, I use it every day. I'm going to be in that last category of I use it every single day. I use it on my mobile device, I use it on my desktop, I use it online, and we'll go through kind of, some differences on different places that you can actually access OneNote. But for starters, I just really wanted to talk about what exactly is OneNote. So OneNote is an electronic notebook that we have for free through our Microsoft 365 account. It is something that has been around for a very, very long time with Microsoft. I know I've been using it for 15, 20 years already. I've been using it a very long time. And it allows us to have separate notebooks. And inside each notebook, we'll see today that we have sections and we have pages to organize our data, organize our information. So while we're kind of going through some demonstrations of how to use this application today, I want you to be thinking about how you take notes today. Are you the type of person that actually has sticky notes on your, on your desk, on your monitor? Do you have scratch pieces of paper around? Or do you still use an actual paper notebook? Which there's really nothing wrong with that, but think about some of the issues that you've had with those paper processes. Have you ever lost a piece of paper that you wrote a note on? Have you ever wanted to share something with somebody that's in a different building or in a different city, for that matter? It's not easy to do that when we have paper. I remember back in the day when I had a different notebook for different meetings that I would go to, and if I would forget my notebook, there I am taking the paper agenda that people used to print, and I'm writing my notes on there, and then I'd have to go back and enter them into my notebook, and most of the time I would need to enter them on my computer. So some days I was redoing it 3 times. I would do the original on that scratch piece of paper, then I'd write it in my notebook, then I'd enter it on my computer someplace. And I decided I needed to find an easier way to be organized with all this information. Plus, if I ran out of space on a piece of paper or within a notebook and I had to start someplace else, I'd be drawing circles around this information, doing an arrow pointing to another, or putting, go to page 5, or folding pages down. I'd put paper clips on my pages to mark them as being important. I had so many different ways of trying to manage what I had on paper. With Microsoft OneNote, all of that went away. How I got started, and a good point for you as well, is I took all the scratch pieces of paper and I took my notebooks and I figured out how I could organize those into OneNote instead. So everything that I had in my paper notebook, I forced myself to not go back to it. Instead, I open up the notebook itself and do my data entry right during the meeting. Because now we have laptops, we have tablets, we have our smartphones with us, and the information can be entered in any one of those types of devices. As long as you have the app available, you're good to go. So the app that I'm showing you right now is the desktop version of OneNote. The desktop version, just like your other Microsoft 365 apps, is going to give you the fullest capability. So when we talk about going to online versions, we don't get as many features, and that's true with OneNote as well. So if you download the desktop version, you'll get every feature available within the application. So let's take a look at the user interface first. You will have, of course, the quick access toolbar at the top left, like normal applications. You're going to have a ribbon. The ribbon, of course, in the desktop version is going to give you more tabs and more commands on each tab. But what you're seeing right now is on the left-hand side is the list of my active notebooks. We can have 25 notebooks, but what if I'm only actively using 3 of them? I could have those readily available on my navigation on the left-hand side. So as you can see right now, I have accounting, I have my Jolyn notes and recipes. That's my personal one. Absolutely love it. I've had it for about 18 years or so. But anyway, I also have this one commercial credit. I have my personal one for work, and then I have my IT training notebook. So these are the ones I'm actively using. But if I wanted to open a different notebook that I'm a part of, now what do I mean by being a part of it? We can share notebooks. That's the one of my favorite things about a notebook is it can be shared. I don't have to go to the copy machine with my paper notebook and photocopy what I want to share with somebody else. And I think I'm probably turning red when I'm saying this because I seriously used to do that. If I wanted to share something out of my notebook, I mean, back in the day, that's how we did it. Of course, not anymore because we can have the entire notebook or even just a section be shared with our coworkers, one person or a whole team of people. So anyway, if I wanted to open a different notebook, I could simply go to my file menu to do so. I could go to open just like you normally would with anything else, locate the notebook of wherever it's saved at, and I would automatically have that notebook open. But you can see all of these notebooks are listed that I currently have open, and they are automatically synced. What that means is if I use these notebooks on my cell phone, on my online version of OneNote, it syncs back here to my desktop continuously. So if I happen to use my notebook when I'm not even connected to a phone service or anything, it automatically will sync any changes back up to the actual online version. So we never miss anything that way. So that's great. But anyway, just so you could see, if I wanted to, I could do printing, I could do sharing from here, I can export information. We get a lot of the same capabilities as other applications. Now, I'm not going to actually open another notebook, but just so you can see, it's actually showing me the path of where all these notebooks are actually saved at. Some of these are coming from SharePoint. Some of these are just saved on my OneDrive. Some of these are actually with another account that I have. So these are all of my current notebooks. Now I'm just going to click the back arrow to go back to my notebook, and I'm going to be working in my accounting department notes. This is my notebook for accounting department, and you're going to see that I have these different sections indented under the name of this notebook. So the notebook itself is called Accounting Department Notes, but then I have separate sections for accounts payable, accounts receivable, expenses, and invoicing, so that my team, my accounting department team, and I have a central location for us to be able to collaborate in a shared notebook. So how does this all work? Well, right now I happen to be in the section called Accounts Payable. Every time I click on a different name, I see different lists of pages available in these sections. And that's going to be this pane to the window. So I kind of go from left to the middle to the right. Whatever I click on for pages, it shows the contents of the page on the right-hand side. We can add new sections to organize our information. We can add new pages to organize the information within a section. But this reminds me a lot of Microsoft Teams. We have the name of the team. Here we have the name of the notebook. Then we have the channels. Here we have sections. And then each channel has tabs. Here we have pages. All the pages should be directly related to the name of the section that they're in. All sections should be directly related to the name of the notebook that they are in. Okay? If I wanted to create a new section, I would simply go to the left-hand side. Underneath my last section, I would click the icon New Section. You would then be given the capability of putting in a name for that section. And by the way, it's very similar to your tabs in Excel. You can right-click to manage your sections because sections can be different colors and things like that, similar to our tabs in Excel. But I'm going to name this section, and I'm going to name it Managers. just so you can see how easy it is to add a new section. Every time you add a new section, it automatically has a new page. A page gets a title, a name of the page is based on where my cursor is actively blinking right now, is on the piece of paper on the right-hand side. And basically that's the title block at the top left where it date and time stamps the page as well. So we always know when that page was created. So anyway, let's say that I want to put in some information that we're going to be doing some brainstorming. So brainstorming for 2025 second quarter. That's going to be the title of this page. And so we're going to be brainstorming some notes here on this page regarding our upcoming second quarter. So what happens on a page? How do you put information here? It's not a Word document. So the cool thing about this is if you think of a piece of paper, you just take your pencil, your pen, your marker, whatever you're using, and go to wherever you want to write something on that piece of paper. We do that same thing here in OneNote. So if I want to start a note over on the right-hand side of this page, I just click my cursor there and my cursor is blinking. I just start typing my notes. So I start typing and it enters my information in a container. So this is called a container. Now think about your piece of paper. If you started writing something over here, but you decided you wanted it to be over here because you're going to be adding a whole bunch more to it, you can't just pick it up and move it on a piece of paper. Here we can. A container, if I put my mouse at the top of the container where it kind of has that title bar at the top there, that gray bar at the top, I get the move handle. I can click and drag and move that container on my piece of paper anywhere that I want it to go. So it's a great way to kind of organize your information and change your mind and move things to be in a different spot within that piece of paper. Can't do that very easily on a piece of paper. I remember tearing out and cutting out pieces of my paper because this was related to something on a different page. I would literally cut it out from this piece of paper and tape it on another piece of paper of where it belongs with. Those days for me are long gone because it's not an easy way to go back and find anything either. So just so you can see a couple of examples of what can we add to a page, what are we going to put in these pages? Sky's the limit on what it is that you could end up storing here. Anything that you can think of that you're going to want to share with everybody related to this brainstorming for 2025 second quarter can go here. So I just clicked my cursor, clicked my mouse, so my cursor is now blinking in a different place, and we're going to come up with brainstorming ideas. So I'm going to put in ideas for second quarter sales. Increase customer list, do more training with sales staff. Whatever our ideas are, this can be a live collaboration tool because if this is shared with my coworkers, they can be adding things with me. This is a notebook that everybody can do live collaboration in. But one of the things that's really great here in OneNote is not only am I going to click and I'm going to type some information in this container, I can format the data so that it's more easy to read. So I'm going to select the title of this, Ideas for Second Quarter, and I'm going to go to my Styles group in my Home tab of the ribbon. Just like if I were in Microsoft Word, I can use things like heading 1s, heading 2s, heading 3s to format my data. Of course, I have my basic text group also, but I don't use it as much. Then I'm going to select these items that I started this list with that we're going to continue growing these ideas. And I'm going to do a feature that is unique to OneNote called a tag. I'm going to tag these items. And when we do that, it's kind of like labeling them or categorizing them. but we have unique ways of doing that here in OneNote. There is this tags group. The most common tag is a to-do tag. So if we're going to create a to-do list or anything like that, we could tag it with a to-do. But I'm actually going to go to this drop-down arrow here for a list of all the tags that are available by default. So I could tag it as a to-do, I could tag it as important, a question mark, I could highlight it, I could tag it with a contact. But notice there's one called idea. I'm going to go ahead and click idea, and these are now going to have the light bulb icon on the left-hand side because I tagged them as an idea. Now, what if these were also going to be a to-do, that once we discuss them, we want to be able to check them off our list? I'm going to click to-do tag with that text still selected, and I have two tags on the same group of data. Now, let's say that one of these, like this do more training with sales staff, let's say that that's actually a high importance thing that we want to be considering. I could also go back to my tags and I could tag it as being critical. I could tag it as being important, depending on what type of tag I want it to be. I'll tag it as being important. So it continues to add tags to whatever text you are within or whatever text you select. Now, I'll show you in a second how we can really take advantage of those tags, and it doesn't matter where they're coming from. If they're coming from a different page within this section, within our notebook, we can find tags that are all tagged with the same thing. Matthew, did someone have a question or a comment?
Yeah, someone was wondering that they thought that the containers look a little small. Is there a way to resize the containers? Maybe make them a little larger?
They
Okay,
do
nice.
grow with you. So
Okay,
as you add data to it, it will automatically grow.
okay.
So if I needed to make the container bigger or smaller, you actually can go to the right-hand side, go to the bottom, etc. We can be moving it around and resizing it. But it will grow as we add things to it.
And of course,
Okay.
I can increase the font size as well, and the container will grow
The
alongside
container
that.
grows.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yep. It's going to
great.
automatically continue to grow. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great question. So with all of these tags, to me, these are a very essential tool when I'm using OneNote, because what if I come back and I say, you know what, I need to find all of the ideas, or I need to find every time something was tagged as a question mark, because did we get all those answered yet? Well, we can search by tags. So in the tags group on the home tab of the ribbon, I'm going to click find tags. What that does is opens up a tags summary page on the right-hand side. So it's a new pane on the right, and basically it's grouping together the tags. So if I tag something as critical, tagged it as an idea, tagged it as important, tagged it as a to-do item, I could link to any of those. So let's say I need to go to this update to systems because that was critical. We need to make sure that that gets done. I'm going to go ahead and click on that update to system, and it's going to automatically navigate me to the section, to the page that had that tag. So it automatically took me to this brainstorming notes for 2025, which, as you can see, has an image, it has a table, it has an insert of an Excel spreadsheet, it has all kinds of details on this specific page. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to locate tagged items. But if I want to go to the important, I have something that's tagged as important. I want to make sure that we get more details and we take care of that. I'm going to click on the link to go to the item that was tagged as important. It's going to jump me back to this page for brainstorming for 2025 second quarter, directly to the line that had that tag. So I really love using tags, and if that's something that you haven't done yet, highly recommend starting with those. You'll absolutely love them. Now, of course, I'm not going to go any further on that today because we have so many other things I want to cover. So I'm going to close the tag summary pane on the right-hand side. and continue to show you some other things that we could be putting into our pages within our notebooks. So first off, what if I needed a new page? What if we were going to start branching off with training with sales staff? Matthew, let me go ahead and answer that question before I do this.
Yeah. Someone has some questions about tags. So they're
Yes.
wondering if they can get the tags to orient themselves so that they kind of organize themselves. They indent left to right so that certain tags would stick out a little further than maybe a less. So an important tag would be less indented than an unimportant tag.
Unfortunately, we can't change that. I have asked that for years.
You really?
Because as you can see on this one, it has the idea because that's the tag I did first. Then I tagged it as a to-do. Then I tagged one of them as being important. So it kept going from left
Right.
to right. And you can't change it.
Uh,
Unfortunately, that's not something we can change. Sorry.
uh, can you
It's one of those.
indent? Can you indent the text manually so that you know in the
Well,
in the in the
Well, we
notes?
do have some indentation capability. So if I select this text in the basic text group, we have
Yeah.
increase indent. But notice what that's doing? It's taking the
Yeah.
whole thing from the left-hand side.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works the same as it would in a Word document kind of a situation. Yeah,
But if you were to
kind of strange.
tag it as important first, then the important tag would be on the outside.
Would be on the left.
Yes, would
Yep.
be on the left.
It's all about the order and how you tagged it.
There you go.
Kind of weird,
Awesome.
but yeah, it's the way it
Sweet. Thank you.
works. You're welcome. So I'm going to create a new page called Training with Sales Staff. So I'm just going to copy this text. To create a new page to go into this manager section, I'm just going to click Add Page in that middle part of the window here. And right away it gives me an untitled page. I'm going to paste the name of it up here at the top. And you can see, of course, a date and time stamps it again. So we always know when something was created. But one of the things is, what if this is related to that brainstorming? It's really kind of just a subsection where I want to just put just the notes for the sales staff, where we're going to talk about CRM training and we want to talk about Teams training, that kind of thing. I want to make a new list. Just so you're aware, we can have pages be subpages. So I have this brainstorming and then this training. I want this training to actually be a sub-page of the brainstorming page. So I can, one of the ways, right-click on the name of the page. Notice your pop-up menu. I could rename it. I could use Copilot. I could delete it. I could cut, copy, paste it. I could do a link to it. But notice I have this feature here called Make Subpage. It's now going to indent it underneath brainstorming. So this is a page that's related to the main page up at the top. Notice that I can collapse and expand that brainstorming page now. So it's a great way to kind of organize things so that we know these are related to the page it's under. So anyway, just so you could see, we could do that. But let's talk about adding in some other features within your OneNote notebooks. What else can we insert? Well, we can insert a lot of different things. I could even go to Outlook and insert content directly from Outlook into a OneNote notebook. But I can do some of that directly here as well. From the Home tab in this desktop version, I could, if we had a meeting coming up about training with sales staff, I could actually go to my meeting. Sorry, I didn't update my settings here. Sorry about that. I'm just going to close that. But normally what that would do, and hopefully I'll be able to do that in the web app, but just so you can see, what that would normally do is open up your Outlook calendar and you could choose the meeting that you want to have the details for. And it embeds in a container the details for an upcoming meeting that you have that you choose. So we can have kind of everything in one central location. Now also, we have the Insert tab of the ribbon. If you go to the Insert tab of the ribbon, look at all the different things that you can be adding to one of your pages. within your sections within your notebooks. So I can add a table. So if I want to organize our information in columns and rows, I could do that in a table. But one of the very popular features is going to be attaching files or having files available here within our pages. So let's say that we actually started developing some Teams training for the sales staff, and we want to have a link to that. We could either do it as an attachment or we can do it as a link. You can see that we have this link option here as well. Control K is your keyboard shortcut. 99% of the time, I do it as a link, not as an attachment, because the attachment is only as good as it was when it was attached. A link would take us directly back to the file. So just so you can see, if I do file attachment, I can navigate out to my computer. Maybe I have a PDF file that I want to have available. I'm going to select that PDF and click Insert, and it will automatically give me the choice of having it be attach the file or insert it as a printout. I'm going to attach the file. So basically it gives me the icon for that file that anyone can double click and open. But if I want to have it be a link to an active file that we're working on, I could do it as an actual link from the Insert tab, where I can choose the text I want to display. I could go to the address, and in the address bar, by the way, it could be a website on the right-hand side or a file. I'm going to choose File, and then I can navigate to my computer to find the file that we want to link to. I select the file, I click OK, and it automatically will give us a link to display that file. But if I don't have that in a shared location for everyone, they can't all click on it and open the file if they don't have rights. So keep that in the back of your mind. Now, the other thing that we have available, which is pretty cool, is we can insert a spreadsheet. I do this quite often because what if we have a worksheet that we're kind of laying out our ideas in, or our training topics, or whatever the case is going to end up being? I'm going to go to Spreadsheet, and I'm going to choose Existing Spreadsheet, not create a new one. I'm going to navigate out to my computer and find the Excel file that I want to have available. I'm going to click Insert, and then I can choose how I want to bring that file in. I'm going to say Insert Spreadsheet, so you can see what it's going to actually do. I'm going to click OK, because yes, it's safe. It's coming from my computer, so I know it's safe. It's coming from my cloud. Now, basically what it's going to do is insert the content of the entire workbook. Every sheet, so sometimes it takes a second. It's kind of trying to open this. I should have picked a smaller file. I didn't think about that at the beginning here. Sorry about that. But in a second, it will automatically insert the contents of that Excel spreadsheet. We can actually double click on it to edit that file directly here within OneNote Notebook. Everybody can see it as well. So it can be an interactive file directly here. We double click on it, it opens Excel, but we can see the contents of it. So it will take just a second for that to do that, because I picked too big of a file and my internet connection is a little slow when I'm on these calls. But just so you know what it will end up doing. I did have an example of one of those. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to. Come on, maximize that back out here for me. Now my computer says, Jolene, you're trying to do too many things at one time. It'll come back in just a second. In the meantime, where else can I go to use OneNote notebooks? Well, you can go to Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is a very popular place to use OneNote notebooks, but also we can go straight to an internet browser. So let me show you an internet browser first. So if I go to my Microsoft account, you can open up OneNote just like you open up any other app. If I go to the left-hand side to my apps launcher, all I have to do is find my OneNote icon. Once I click on it, it will automatically open up OneNote. This is going to open in the in the online version versus the desktop version. So first you're going to see my all of my files, but if I want to see recently opened, shared, favorites, I could do that as well. Matthew, did you have a question?
Yeah, someone is wondering, are you able to share a sheet rather than the whole notebook?
So we can share a section, but we can't share just an individual page unless they change that on me. Let me come back and double check that as I'm saying that. I'm just going to click cancel on that because it's taking too long and I'm being impatient. Sorry. You know how that goes sometimes. It actually opened it, but
Oh,
yeah, sorry. Come on. It decided to close my notebook I had open, so let me just reopen that here real quick.
okay, there you go.
Sorry.
Must have been a giant Excel spreadsheet.
It was too big. I didn't even think about it. Sorry. Totally me. But anyway, when you're on a page and you do that right click, notice what your choices are. Okay. We can collapse it. We can rename it. These types of things. Don't see a share option. If you go to a section can be renamed. We also can delete it. We can move it. We can merge it. We can create new sections. We can password protect these as well. So a section can have a password protection too. Change the colors. The share capability is at the top right, just so you're aware. If I go to the top right, I can choose to share the entire notebook with somebody that doesn't already have access to it. I could give people a link to the notebook. I can email a copy of a page, but not share the page with them. Or I can manage the existing access that people have. So these are going to be our current options that we have for sharing.
Okay.
Most of
And
the time, go ahead.
when you manage the access, are you managing access to the entire notebook or just the page?
The entire notebook.
Okay.
Yep.
So
And
if
let me
someone
show
has
you that a little
access,
bit better here.
if someone has
So,
access to the notebook, they have access to all the pages within that notebook.
correct. That's why we password protect sections sometimes, like this manager one. I would probably password protect it
Okay.
just to make sure, people aren't making changes to it, that kind of thing.
Right.
That are seeing things that could be confidential. Okay.
Yeah. So people are a little unclear. How do you share just the section?
The
Like,
section, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
just
the section we can no longer share just the section.
okay. So we have to share
As
the whole notebook,
Right, correct. So when
but
I was showing at the top right, those are our current choices.
but we can still password protect sections.
Correct,
Okay. Could you
correct.
show us how to password protect a section, maybe?
Oh, sure. If you right click on the section itself, go to password protect this section. So I'm doing that here on this manager's one. On the right hand side, I'm going to click set password. Do not forget your passwords because they cannot be recovered, just like password protecting a sheet. So I
Okay.
would put in the word pass, and then I'd click OK. Nobody else is going to see this but the people that I give rights to, that I give the password to, I should say. So the people that I want to be able to get to this section, I'll give them the password.
Okay. And
Okay,
then they can only access that section
correct.
with the password.
But let me take this just a step further because this is a way a lot of people use OneNote. If I'm in Microsoft Teams, this is usually how people are using OneNote notebooks. Very common. If I go, and just so you know, that accounting department notes is actually part of my accounting department team. So if I go to my Teams, let me shrink up my chats here and go to my Teams, and I go to my accounting department team, I can have a different notebook for each of my channels within Microsoft Teams. So if we want to do collaboration with a group of people based on accounts payable, I could have a notebook just for the accounts payable group. So you could see at the top, I have task lists, I have all these other things, but here's the accounting department notebook that I added to this. So When you create a new section, in Teams, when you create a new channel, or if you're in SharePoint and you create a new team SharePoint site, you get a shared notebook automatically for that team or for that SharePoint site. We can always add additional notebooks to be specifically related to the channel. And when we do that, so like if I go to the invoicing of the accounting department, if I go to the invoicing, I have this notes tab up at the top already. When I click notes, this is the default notebook that I got with that channel. I can add sections to it. I can add pages to the sections. It looks a little bit different than you saw in the desktop version, but basically this little book icon on the left-hand side, if I click that, it collapses and expands. So we have the capability of still working with our OneNote notebooks and having whoever has rights to this team and or to this channel will have rights to that notebook. So it's all maintained by the rights in the team itself, individually for each notebook you have for each of the channels. So I really like that. And that's why we use them a lot here, because Teams is our built-in Microsoft collaboration tool. So it just makes sense to have the notebooks directly in our Teams with our channels. But I like having a separate one, a separate notebook for the channels, because everything related to AR is going to be different than AP or different than invoicing. Or if I'm in my marketing department, I want a different notebook for design versus my social media group. They can have different notebooks to store the different details, all depending on what everybody needs to see. What do they need access to? We want to be able to really take advantage of being able to share the information appropriately with our group of people, but be careful when it comes to a private channel. So if we create a private channel, which I have this one here under accounting called managers, that notebook is just for the people that have rights to that channel. Nobody else has access to it. They can't go someplace else and magically find it. It is protected by the channel permissions. Okay, so we like that because it's all being maintained through the actual team, through the channel. So great way to be able to utilize it. You can see my manager's channel right now does not have a notebook. What if I want to add a notebook? I don't have a notebook for this channel for managers right now. I can simply here in Teams click the plus sign. When I get my list of my apps, I can choose OneNote. When I choose OneNote, I can either connect to an existing notebook or I can start a brand new notebook. Usually I do a brand new notebook, but if I already had started one, I could connect it. But basically you want to give it a name that's going to reflect what it's going to be containing. So this is the accounting manager, so I'm going to name it that, accounting manager's notes. Once I click save, everybody that has rights to this channel will have rights to working inside this notebook. Now we didn't go through some of the other bells and whistles as far as what else can you put in a notebook. So I do want to kind of come back and talk a little bit more about that, because we do, like I said, have different features if we're in the online version versus the desktop version. When I'm here in the online version, my tags are right here. I still get the same list of tags. I get some formatting capabilities, but I'm not seeing that full ribbon option that I had back in the desktop version. And when I go to the Insert tab, we have different components that we can be inserting, but we're not getting exactly the same features that we had when we were in the desktop version. I can insert a file, I can insert a link, I even have the loop components if you attended that session. I can even draw. I have a view tab to change the way I'm looking at things. And one of the things people love is If you miss your lines that you had on your notebook, you can come here to the View tab, desktop or online version, and choose Rule Lines. You can have grid lines, or if you want like standard ruled, you want wide ruled, whatever you want, you can add lines to the actual pages. So if you're going to be doing a stylus, you want to use your mouse to draw, you have the capability of using drawing options. So if I come in and I start drawing, I'm not very good at this with my mouse, but I can do my name. That's about it. But just so you could see, these would be options that you can do. So anyway, let me jump back here though, because I want to go back to the desktop for a minute and talk about a couple of other things that we're not seeing when we're in the online version. That's why I use the desktop a lot, because this is what we originally had and I really liked some of these features. We can have a new page added that is going to be a template. Let's say we're going to start brainstorming some meeting agenda items for the sales training. We can actually go to the View tab, and from the View tab, you can see that I still have ruled lines. I have a lot of other features here too that you're not going to see when we were back on the online version. We even have page color. So if we want to change the color of the page, you can do that as well, just so you could see the difference between the online on the View tab. But we also have on the Insert tab, we have this feature called Page Templates. I'm going to click the icon for Page Templates, and it shows me a list of the templates that are built in on the right-hand side of the screen, where I can expand each of these categories to see what are my choices. So I have blank, I have simple lecture, I have lecture notes and study questions. So I clicked on that and it automatically gives me this pre-formatted template page. So it's a brand new page that I can add a title. So let's say that this is going to be based on the training for teams. And this is going to be the details for it. Today's topic, we have a section for announcements. We have a homework section for this, lecture topics, summaries, study questions. It's automatically including all of these different elements with that template. If I want to see a different template, I could go back over to the left-hand side. Maybe I'll go to the business category. And if I want to see detailed meeting notes, I can add another new page with the template using meeting notes. So maybe our meeting is going to be related to the training. I have a section already created and a cute little background and things for the meeting details. Where's the meeting going to take place? Who are the attendees? Who didn't attend? What are some announcements, etc.? It's giving us all of these placeholders of where we can be inputting this information. Now, of course, if I want this meeting training that I just created to be a sub-page under brainstorming, I can rearrange my pages, I can rearrange my sections by clicking and dragging them like we do with Excel sheet tabs. I'm going to take this training meeting, I'm going to drag it up, and I'm going to slide it in so that it automatically becomes a sub-page of brainstorming. We can then collapse that if we don't need to see all the pages. We can expand it back out if we need to get to the pages again. So very easy to organize our details into our different sections and into our different pages. But I want to point out a couple of other things that we can do. I'm going to go back to this page, training with sales staff. Back here on the Insert tab in the desktop version, we can also insert Visio diagrams if you are using Visio, if you have a license for it. We can insert pictures or screen clippings. We even can do online videos, which I do videos quite often. But what I do a lot is record videos. Because what if I want to leave a video for my coworkers that are going to be coming in, because I want to tell them about something that's going to be coming up, and instead of typing it all in, I just want to record a video. I could do that just by clicking record video. Once I click record video, which I'm already in a recording, but it opens up this video window where I can then tell it to record, and anything that I say then will be a part of that video. And then they'll have a link to it right here that they can double click to play it, etc. So just so you can see, it has a lot more capabilities than just being a scratch piece of paper like you would normally think that you're going to take some notes on. This is a lot more than that. This, to me, is where I'm going to collaborate with my team members, my coworkers, for situations like, we got to do some brainstorming on what we're going to do different here in second quarter because maybe our sales were low or whatever the case might be. This can be where everybody's going to go to see notes, to add notes, to, put in their ideas, whatever the case might be, instead of everybody kind of doing their own thing and not very easily being able to share that information back and forth with each other. This, to me, has saved me so much time and headaches. It is one of my favorite organizational tools. So let's say that we're developing this new training for our sales staff. This could be where we're going to combine everything together. We want to come up with, here's our list of topics to cover. List of topics to cover. And then whoever comes up with the ideas can come in here and start adding in what we should cover. Then we could start having, a link to the actual training material. If we know that here's a great picture I just found on the internet that we could be inserting. Here's a screenshot I did today showing how this works in CRM and things like that. We could have all that being compiled here. So when the person goes to develop the courseware, whatever the case is, they create the reports, they're going to have those images right here ready to be used. We don't have to go start searching all over the place for them. Oh, I think so-and-so put it on their C drive, or so-and-so has it on their OneDrive, or whatever the case might be. This way we know everything that we need is going to be in one central location. I could go on and on for a week and tell you different things about OneNote notebooks, but Matthew, I'll get to your question here before we continue.
Yeah, so someone is wondering, will the meeting details function insert information into a template?
So are they saying like the templates here?
Yeah, the templates.
So if I do a template page, like if I'm in wherever I put that template, here's one.
Yeah.
I could do meeting details and have it be a container in any of the pages. So it doesn't matter if I started with a template. So here's finally it's working for me when I clicked on that meeting details. So if I want to have a specific meeting, here's all my meeting details for that meeting that I just clicked on. So it automatically inserted all those details coming directly from my Outlook.
And can you get those details to autofill into the template? No.
Boy, wouldn't that be cool?
Could Copilot do that?
I've never tried that with Copilot, but we do have Copilot available here in OneNote.
Okay, well,
helps with brainstorming ideas and things, but I don't know if it would do that because it would have to do with the integration from Outlook. I don't know if we could create a workflow. I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, so maybe not possible, but you can bring your meeting details into your notes.
Correct.
So that you have it all in one place.
So here's my details that I have so far. Now, of course, once we have the meeting, I could bring the video from the meeting recording, the transcripts, whatever. All of that could be here.
Nice.
So kind of think about, how you want things to be organized, how you want to be able to get back and find things. By the way, the search capabilities in here are absolutely fantastic. So if you need to find something, search for it, you'll find it. It is super quick to find anything in any section, page, whatever. Okay.
So you did mention there, did I hear you say that you can put your Microsoft Teams recordings in Notebook? Because that is actually a question that someone just put in the chat.
Yes.
Oh, really? So you can
because you could have it as a link to the recording, or you could do it as an attachment. So yes, you could, but do you want to? That's going to be your question to answer, or each person individually. Where do you want things to be stored or accessible by your team members?
Gotcha.
Do
So
you want to
if
go
you
to the
were to
meeting
attach,
to have everything?
right. So if you were to attach a Teams recording into a notebook, would it
Uh-huh.
appear the same way you when you took the recording within the notebook?
Well, it is the recording, and the recording is a file.
Okay, so same.
So it's a large file.
Right.
Depending on how long your meeting lasted, it's a large file. Keep that in mind. Are you going to make, attach it? You're going to do a link to it? I would do a link to it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Especially if it's
attach it.
yeah, especially if it's a long meeting.
Yes.
I mean, we saw how long it took to load the Excel file, so there we go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That probably had 25 sheets, but yes, that was totally my fault. It does
Great, thank you.
work, but yes. So anyway, yeah, I mean, unbelievable things that we can actually be doing in here. I seriously do love this. But what are some other places or some other ways that I can be utilizing OneNote notebooks? I could actually, like I was starting out to say, I could actually go to my account online. So I showed you Microsoft Teams. I briefly showed you the desktop. We just kind of went through a little bit of each of those. I could also come here to my Microsoft account, open up my OneDrive. I'm sorry, OneNote. Same word, a little different, but just so you could see, if I wanted to start a new one, I could do blank notebook, or I could open up an existing notebook. I'm going to start with a blank just so you could see what's going to happen. If I do a blank notebook, all I have to do is give it a name. So maybe this is going to be related to, we have some marketing convention coming up. So it's going to be related to a marketing convention. So I basically give it a name, it's going to automatically open up that notebook. Okay. I had my pop-ups turned off, sorry, so it didn't automatically pop up. Let me go to my recent. It will show up in a second. But anyway, just so you know, you could create a new notebook directly from here and get working on it. I can create a new notebook from Microsoft Teams. I can create a new notebook in my desktop version, and I can have access to all of those directly from any of my devices. So, and I was very serious when I said I use this on my phone. I have had a notebook, and let me kind of jump back here for just a second. Oops. So back into my desktop one for just a second. I seriously have this notebook, and this is my dill dip that I'm making here after class. But you can see, let me go to, sorry, I'm going to open up my sections. If I go to this grocery list, this was actually created back in 2015. So I've been using this notebook for 15 years. And the thing about that is I use my notebooks right here on my phone, because if I need to have access to a note that we were working on, I just come to my phone and open up my OneNote notebook, and all of my notebooks are available right here on my phone. I can go to my Teams and open up a notebook. I can go to my to my Microsoft account and open up my notebooks. We have lots of ways to be accessing those notebooks. So you want to kind of think about where's the easiest place for you and your coworkers to access things. If I'm in Microsoft Teams all the time, do I just need the features that are available in the online version of OneNote in Teams? Am I okay with just that? You can always go back to editing and say open in desktop, just like you can if I open up an Excel file and I'm missing a feature because it's the online version, I need the desktop version, I could go to the top right to editing and say I want to open it in desktop. We could do exactly that same thing here in OneNote. So I'm going to say open in desktop, and it automatically will open that notebook that I was in my desktop version. So just so you could see, that is capable of doing that same thing just like Excel. So if you're missing a feature that you want to be able to use, that's okay. You have the capability of doing it in desktop very quickly and very easily. Now, I could go on forever talking about some other features that are available in OneNote, but the thing is, change your habits. That's going to be the big thing for you to do right now is change the way you're doing things. Like I said, take the scratch pieces of paper, take your paper notebooks and start taking your most current things and entering them in a OneNote notebook to give you some practice time on how you're going to utilize it. Definitely use it through Microsoft Teams though as well. I'm going to tell you for me, that's going to be one of my favorite places to use a notebook.